Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Freyt Media podcast, where we bring you straight talking logistics insights from the people who live and breathe the industry every day. This podcast series is a space where our members and partners can share their first-hand experiences without corporate scripts or filtered messaging. Just authentic insights to help all of us keep up to date and make better decisions in a constantly evolving industry. Today, we'll be focusing on logistics in Africa, and not just Africa, women's influence in this regard. So without further ado, we are gathered today with two leaders in the African freight landscape, Wilmarie van der Merwe, General Manager of VDM Cargo Solutions in Cape Town, South Africa, and Gloria Ayebazibwe, Country Manager of EHS Africa Logistics, with offices throughout the whole of Africa. Thank you for joining us today, ladies.
Hi, thank you.
Perfect. Well, we always start
Thank you,
with
Tyron.
giving the readers just a brief introduction on who you are, essentially which company you come from, and just giving them a good feel in terms of who's going to be on the podcast today and how we're going to be going ahead with it. So please, Wilmarie, if you would begin, give yourself a brief introduction.
Well, hi, I'm Wilmarie, but most people just call me Marie. I am from VDM Cargo Solutions in Cape Town, South Africa. I have been with VDM Cargo Solutions for the last 10 years. And before that, a couple of other corporate companies. And in total, more than 21 years in the industry now.
Awesome. Thank you, Wilmarie. And Gloria, would you please give us a brief introduction?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Shami Gloria. It's easy for everyone to call me that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm from EHS Africa Logistics. Yeah. We really Africa. We are everywhere. Yeah. But then, short of my background, like I have been in this industry for quite a number of years. I count like 15 years. And I think logistics, transportation, couriers, and what is the only job I've done in my life. So,
So you well experienced
yeah,
for this podcast
yeah, this is
topic.
the only job I've done in my life, and this is why, yeah, I actually think I'm really good at what I do.
There we go. Well, perfect. Thank you for that, ladies. And as I said, look, it seems like we've got a lot of experience here with us today. So I'm sure your insights are going to be incredibly valuable in terms of helping us understand the African logistics landscape and obviously your experience coming through with it. So just to carry on with that, because we all know Africa's a really interesting continent in terms of many aspects. It can be from the freight landscape to essentially how we understand how things operate and essentially what is going on in that beautiful untapped markets of Africa. So we're going to stick with Africa's logistics today, and we're going to start off with a bit of a figurative question to get your just brief understanding of exactly how you would shape or how you would image Africa if in a metaphoric way. So if African logistics were a person walking into a room, what personality do you think they would have? Do you think it would be a chaotic genius, a steady builder, maybe an untapped hustler with tons of potential? And has this characteristic changed in your regions over the last few years? So, Wilmarie, I can see you smiling over there. Will you let us know what type of personality you think Africa brings to the table?
I'm from South Africa, so we're the Rainbow Nation.
There you go.
Selecting one personality type would be a little bit difficult.
True.
But I would say in the current market, they would be an untapped hustler. Things are buzzing, they're busy, people are sharp, they're adaptable. Yeah, they're movers and shakers at the moment. This is definitely an area of focus for the world at the moment. There are some areas where you would consider them, the people that take it very slow and steady and they're strategic about it. But I think that's also benefited them over the years by being strategic in what they're doing. So yeah, how have they changed over the years? I would probably say this hustler that we're seeing now came from being very strategic over the
Yes.
years.
No, I completely agree, and I think potential is the big word that you focused on there, and we all know the massive potential that Africa has. So yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it, Phil Marie, and something that we can definitely focus on. Gloria, what do you think in terms of a personality and how you see Africa? Because you're a bubbly person, so I'm very interested to hear how you see Africa from a personality aspect.
Well, from a personality aspect, I would actually, it would come with a steady fast builder.
Yeah.
Because logistics is revolving. We never have things that are the same year in, year out. However much you have been in the field for quite a number of years, questions are never the same. Okay, so I would call them steady builders because we take it as it comes and then find a solution. Okay, yeah, so I would actually see that.
Yeah, solution seekers. I can definitely see that happening. As you said, you well experienced. You've been in the industry for many years in Africa, so I'm very sure that you've seen things develop, and obviously I think that's a very good way of putting it. So thank you for that, ladies. We're going to be moving on to Africa now and focusing on a specific city or a specific country that you think is really making strides in the logistics or freight world somewhere in Africa. You can speak about your own country, obviously, because you may have more knowledge on that specific country, or have you heard of any specific country that the rest of the world may not know of that is slowly making big strides in revolutionizing Africa's logistics and obviously putting Africa on the roadmap in terms of growing their global presence. Gloria, would you like to start with you?
Absolutely, yeah. So I know I've been to different countries.
Yeah.
I know I've been to many African countries, but I would still vote Rwanda as the country that is really doing great things as far as logistics is concerned. The reason as why I chose Rwanda is that doing logistics here is quite easy, especially to people that do handle DDP shipments or DDUs or any other kind of shipment that is coming in the country. Rwanda has a stable system that actually helps you understand what you're trying to bring in the country. It has all the rules and regulations put, like you can read and understand that if I'm importing this into the country, what are the requirements? Well, what am I supposed to do? And then also, if you need, for the cases of duties and taxes, it is very easy to get estimates 100%, whereby if you have a commercial invoice or a HS code for the shipment that you're bringing in, it is easy for you to know that I am going to move this shipment to Rwanda at the cost of 10,000 and we will not get any extra cost. And I don't think most people or other countries know about this, but yeah, I really give Rwanda credit for that because they make everything very easy for us.
Yeah, no, I can completely agree. And from what I've heard and what you've told me at previous conferences about Rwanda and your experience of it, it's something that you smile about and something that you're very proud about. And obviously, as you said, you've had 15 years in the logistics game. I imagine throughout that whole time you've been based in Rwanda. Is that correct?
No, not really. Sometimes Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Kenya, and also Zambia, like quite a number of countries,
Yes. And you think Rwanda in those 15 years of your experience is really starting to build momentum in terms of becoming a powerhouse in the African logistics space?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I have tried to work with other countries, but man, it is a hassle. First, they're not developed like IT wise. They are not they do not have custom
Right.
systems. They do not have like, wow, you can ship a shipment that has a value of like 6,000 USD to a certain country, and then you ask them to give you duties and taxes. They will tell you 15,000 and you'll be like, wow, okay, shipment is alone is 6,000. How is duties and taxes more than the product itself? So this
Yes.
shows that somehow the systems are not really put in place, like people are not being helped to make things happen.
Yes. No, I
Yeah.
completely understand. Completely understand. Thank you for that, Gloria. Vulmarie, I can see you itching to tell us about your part of the world, or
Oh
essentially
gosh, I
country.
wish I could be as excited as Gloria.
Yeah, no,
I
she's
moved
awesome.
to
She's awesome.
Rwanda. Do you have a job for me there?
Yeah, I'm thinking too. I'm thinking too. I might slide into Gloria's emails after this and see if anything's going in Rwanda.
Mhm.
It sounds fabulous and so
It
easy.
does. It really does.
No. Listen, South Africa is, this is not one of the topics that I'll be bringing up as a African country that is developing, it's moving and shaking, and there's things happening that the rest of you guys don't know about just yet. But if you're looking at Africa, Morocco is definitely one that's featuring at the moment, with them opening up their ports, which is fabulous because that's just another way of feeding the supply chain or getting it into Africa, which is something that we do need.
Yes.
And then Mozambique in itself, they've also changed their systems from road to rail. Those are all things that are making just the infrastructure, connecting Africa as such, whether you're coming from Morocco or whether you're coming from, let's say, South Africa, it just makes the whole process easier. So I think the main ports, which I am excited about, which is Morocco and Mozambique. Durban is still focusing on theirs, but it might still take a while. So the more we can feed into Africa, the better it would be. But it's not only feeding Africa, it's also getting the exports out to the rest of the
Yes.
world. And with
Yes.
all of what's going on with the USA, I think that would just be fabulous for Africa.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Accessibility is everything it needs. And as you said, the people in Africa are hustlers. They will make things work. It just needs the infrastructure, the facilities to ensure that obviously we can bring products in. And as you said, export as much as you can. So thank you for that, ladies. And yeah, it's good to see how positively you speak about the African continent, because time after time we do hear of its potential. And it's good to see that these places are developing, and people are looking into Africa, because the more you look on LinkedIn, etc., people are speaking about Africa, and they're looking into the future in terms of how they can invest, and obviously how they can build the region to be a little bit more effective as we develop in the freight landscape. Now, positive. I'm sure the viewers want to hear something of a little bit of a horror story, right? And this is something that we can share, and something that I'm sure, with all the experience that both you two ladies have, can you share with us one logistics horror story from your experience that ultimately taught you a valuable lesson in terms of Africa logistics? Vulmarie, would you like to start us off with that one?
Always have insurance.
I think that's completely fair.
When shipping
Yes.
into Africa. This is one of my most horrifying ones, or most recent horrifying experiences, was we shipped plant material from Durban. It was
Okay.
destined for India. It went via Mombasa.
Okay.
The vessel actually caught water there, and all the containers had to be discharged.
Oh,
Lucky me, my container was one of them. It took us about 6 months with all the red tape
oh gosh.
in Mombasa to get the container inspected by an insurance broker. And eventually we were told, okay, but they don't have any authority there, and they actually need to unpack all of it. It took me another 6 months to actually get it to India from there. And
Wow.
as I stand here, this happened in 2023.
Okay.
This container is
Don't tell me
sitting in
it's
India.
still not complete.
And this is all because it went via Africa. So,
There we go.
yeah,
There we
that was a
go.
bit of a horror story, but luckily we had some insurance on there. So,
Yes, yes. And these things
keeping
happen, right?
happiness.
These things
Yeah,
happen, and it's as you said, it's something that we will experience and something that we'll have to go around. But thank
yeah.
you for sharing that, Marie. Gloria, give us one of your horror stories that you've come across in terms of African logistics, and essentially how you've gotten around it, just as Marie just has done for us.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
You don't know horror
Sharon,
stories.
I
You don't do horror stories, Gloria,
There's
right?
no horror stories
You
in
do that.
Rwanda?
Gloria just does success
No.
stories, right?
no. Horror stories in logistics, they are really inevitable, especially if the first year, the early years in your career, they're very rampant. So now this is my horror story. That was 2015.
Okay.
I was shipping. I was transporting 5 containers from Dar es Salaam to Kolwezi, that is DR Congo.
Okay.
And then I had transporters. Okay, this was my first job that I was doing those ends. So here comes a guy that was really cheap, tells me he has been taking the route and he knows how everything is handled there and everything. So I was like, okay, let's go for it. Oh my God. The guy was a third party. The trucks were not his.
Oh my.
So we loaded, we paid them. The trucks along the way, they broke down. No update, no what. Oh my goodness. Like it was a nightmare because first of all, the customer was really worried that his goods were stolen because they were really expensive items. So both the shipper, consignee, us, the transporter, I swear to God, no one slept for close 2 months
Oh no.
because you could receive phone calls in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, in the morning. Wow.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like they were, first of all, they were not good with their communications. At least if someone tells you that, look, the truck is somewhere and we're trying to fix it, and it is true, we would buy that. But none of it was true until our general manager had to take the route from Dar es Salaam, drive, going, finding where the containers are. And finally, we found them. We cleared, they crossed. Oh my God. We have not recovered. The question is still like as new, like as that time it happened. So the lesson we drop from that is that, yeah, indeed, cheap is expensive in the long run.
Of course, of course. And
Yeah, cheap
no,
cheap is expensive in the long run, and it's not good to work with independent transporters or freight forwarders, because I think maybe if that transporter belonged to a certain network or what,
yeah,
someone would have helped us fight the battle.
of
You
course.
get it? So
Course, and I think
mm-hmm.
trust is a big a prominent theme that you do mention in there. Something that both EHS and VDM have built up over years, and hence why you are seen in such a bright light in terms of the African logistics landscape. So thank you for sharing that horror story, Gloria. Sounds more like a 2-month nightmare as opposed to a horror story. But yeah, look, it's you're a problem solver, right? So obviously you found a way around it, and it's something that you can obviously learn from, right? So we're going to be moving on to futures and solutions in terms of Africa logistics, and we're going to be focusing on if you could instantly fix one logistics challenge in Africa overnight, if you could click your fingers and this challenge could be eradicated, which would you choose, and why would you choose that specifically? I don't know who wants to open up with that. Well, Marie, will you give us your answer there?
Gosh, where to start? What one of them?
What's the one that comes first to your head? First to your head. That's always the easiest one to speak about.
No, I would fix our port inefficiencies.
Okay.
Struggling with outdated equipment. We're struggling with congestion, long turnaround times, infrastructure. As if I'm saying infrastructure, our railway system that's not up and running. So those are the kind of things that I would definitely focus on first. We have so much potential, and just by focusing on that, we would make a really, really big difference in the Africa supply chain solution.
Yeah, and you obviously see that in South Africa, and you see that throughout throughout the African continent, I imagine, with all your partners based throughout, right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
something it must be a common theme that you do see. So yeah, if we did have a magic wand, I promise you, I would sway it for you and get rid of that. But again,
and he can fix the problem too, right?
of course, we can fix everything. We know that. But yeah, metaphorically, if we had a magic wand, I would definitely do that for you. Gloria, what would you fix if we could do that for you overnight?
Well, I would make sure that pre-clearance for all the shipments, either by air or by sea, happens in all countries very easily. So this means that we all the countries have to embrace digital transformation, whereby we can clear shipments before they arrive in the countries.
Yes.
And do much less formalities when shipments have arrived, because they take a lot of time, yet sometimes even comes out with losses. But if you do pre-clearances and pay duties and taxes when items are still there, it saves a lot, you know. So I would really push for that to happen.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I think that's completely fair. So thank you for enlightening us with that. As I said, these are issues that we can't fix overnight, but again, I think with the focus and with the problem-solving mentality that the African nation does have, I imagine that in the coming years we'll be making things a lot more efficient. So yeah, looking ahead, when people outside of Africa think about logistics on the continent, what's the one misconception you most wish that you could correct from them? And I ask this question because obviously we all fall under the Freyt World Network, and you're dealing with a lot of agents based throughout many countries throughout the world. Do you ever feel that when you have discussions with agents in certain regions, that they do have certain misconceptions about the African continent in terms of the discussions that you do have? If so, here is your opportunity to tell them why they were wrong and essentially get rid of those misconceptions that they may have about logistics in Africa. Gloria?
Well, mostly the misconception about Africa is that people don't really understand that there are some African countries that are developed and are good at what they do. Okay.
Yes.
So I think most people do generalize. Like if they say like a certain country has no good internet, has no good roads, they assume it is the whole of Africa. In that they don't even, I've met some actually agents who are not even interested because they think it is quite hard to do business there. And then what I've always told them, like, man, the media just shows you what they want you to see, but the ground is different because we're living a normal life. We have good roads, we have infrastructures, we have seaports that supports us in transporting, in all the facilities. We have them, apart from few countries, but we have everything that it takes to make things happen. So it's just a matter of people changing their perception, changing how they look at Africa, or maybe they can come and visit and see. Yeah, come visit, come go to
Will you invite us to come and visit,
countries.
Gloria, and give us a good tour of Africa?
Yeah, the security is good, and I trust you. If I begin with Rwanda, I wish you could get like one day and come and visit us. You know, the city is clean, the transport is seamless. Like, you know what will happen from point A to point B. The security is guaranteed. Like, man, everything is easy. So people do not know. Maybe they need to try and focus on the positives and see the good part of it.
Of course, of course. And I think a prominent theme that you just mentioned there is pretty much the blanket feeling that people get when they just throw a blanket over Africa and say that pretty much all regions are exactly the same. And I think that's completely unfair in terms of people. If they do have a bad experience, this happens. This is logistics. This is freight forwarding. And just to assume that that it's all the whole of Africa and that's it puts them off doing business with anybody in there is probably not the right way to go about it. What do you think about that, Vilmarie?
No, I agree with Gloria. Besides the perception that the lions might still be walking around amongst us.
Yes. I still get that, believe it or not.
I get that quite often. Do you guys have cars? Do you drive there? Yes, we live like normal people.
You have electricity? Lights?
Yes. Okay, come on, don't ask a South African person that.
Yeah, that's actually a very valid point. Very valid point. It's a touchy subject, right?
Okay, let's not be judgy. Did Spain not just have the same issue?
True, but they only had it for a day. We've had it for what, 15 years?
Okay. Yeah, but besides the silly misconceptions, like Gloria said, you know, they think that we are, I almost want to say primitive, we're not as developed, and that is not completely the truth. I mean, we do have very large cities with a very large infrastructure that is most developed. I'm going to be reading a little bit more about Rwanda because I'm quite jealous.
Yes.
But we function and operate like the rest of the world. But like I said, the most misconstrued idea about South Africa is that we are not as developed and that we're one big black hole. So just don't trade with them. People are not as trusting of South Africa. And yet we do value our business relationships and partners. We take it very seriously. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. And I think, yeah, you are pretty much soundboarding exactly what Gloria said in terms of throwing a blanket over general feelings about the continent, which again is completely unfair in terms of when we have two ladies such as yourself sitting in Africa and developing the region as you do. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to reach out to you after hearing this, hopefully, and obviously developing and hearing your stories and just leveraging off your experience in the region. Now we're going to close off with just a little bit of a thought from both of you in terms of people looking in to Africa. What should they be looking into in terms of developments, trends, and genuine hope for the future? What do you want to tell the viewers in terms of African logistics and essentially why we will be, or the region will be at the forefront of development moving forward? So just a closing thought from you in terms of African logistics and what the world can expect, not only from you two, but from the continent as a whole. Vilmarie, would you like to start for us?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. Watch the space.
There we go.
Although we're not as developed and up there as Europe or the US or even maybe China, we are also not that far behind in our development and our focus to better our systems, procedures, infrastructures, basically this one-stop shop. I mean, the world needs to be united at one point, like Gloria said, you know, customs clearing is a focus for everyone all around the world, which is an area of development. I can see South Africa is actively busy with it, where we will essentially have an import entry become an export entry and vice versa. So yeah, when the world's ready, Africa is going to be right there with them, ready for this entire integration. I can see all the countries in Africa is currently busy with it by streamlining their own customs processes. And that's already a step in the right direction.
Essentially, you ready. come for us, basically,
Really?
is the message that you want to
Just
that
do
you
it.
want to share with the rest of the world. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Gloria, what do you think for us for closing off on Africa?
Well, I do not differ a lot from what Marie has said. The efforts are being put together. All the countries are coming together to find one solution, okay? And you know, there is an African proverb that says, the teeth that are together are the ones that breaks the bone.
Correct, correct. And
Do you get that?
yeah, and what a beautiful way to to end this podcast, right? And something that we probably should have touched on a little bit earlier is a good African proverb. So, Gloria, as you always are, and as you always do, ending us off in a positive light. And ladies, I want to thank you a lot for joining us today. I think your insights into the region and into Africa as a whole is inspiring, and what you guys are doing is constantly seen by us, especially the network, and I'm sure the network members looking in are really going to appreciate the time that you spent with us today, and we're really going to be looking forward to seeing this Africa boom, and with you being at the forefront of it. So thank you for joining us today, ladies, and yeah, I wish you all the best for the rest of your day.